Hi, welcome to this week's Fireside Chat. You can see, because of my clean face, what the results were of the will he shave or will he grow. In fact, the input was this way: $3,405 went towards shave, and $150 went towards grow. As far as volunteer points, 200 points went towards shave, and 400 points went towards grow. So it's quite a significant opinion that everybody wanted to see me clean shaven instead of growing like Methuselah, the white beard that I had. And I must admit, I'm actually quite relieved at the results. Thank you so much to everyone who contributed both their volunteer time as well as their money. It is a wonderful result, and I thank you all for that. I also want to thank Judy Zarubik, who's on the other end of this, making the technology work so smoothly, especially with the glare from my newly bare white face. Perhaps my recent adventure with growing a beard demonstrates how odd some of our habits are becoming the more we stay sequestered at home. For example, even cattle are getting creative. Indeed, more cows have changed their lowing. Na 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 na, na 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 na, hey, 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 Jude. Our pets at home are also finding isolation leads to boredom, which then leads to frustrations for our more demanding pets. The temptation to just couch surf and eat is huge. Here is a possible solution for absent-minded eating. For those lucky enough to travel, highway workers demonstrate a wry sense of humor. Staying at home can make many of us older folk rather grumpy. Some of us at home become nostalgic for past music hits. And working from home while trying to school our children or grandchildren can lead to embarrassing questions while in a meeting. I have just featured a lot of jokes riffing on our shared reality amidst the provincial stay-at-home order. These jokes point to the reality that so many of us are feeling exhausted by the demands of this pandemic. I remember talking to my grandmother about the so-called Spanish flu pandemic from 1918 to 1920. In fact, didn't really finish until 1921, when she was just a teenager. Part of what she remembered was the seeming elastic sense of time, like being frozen in amber. I think aspects of our COVID exhaustion are due to the reality that many of us are carrying the weight of our collective responsibility. Meanwhile, too many others seem to go about their lives unencumbered with any feeling of social responsibility, feeling justified in their carelessness, all while at least partially protected by the Herculean efforts of others like those of us who observe the public health protocols. Not only are we carefully navigating a context foreign to us, sacrificially bearing a collective burden, we have to watch those efforts devalued by those who then pretend their carelessness is justified. It tempts us to throw our hands into the air in defeat. We're holding a societal umbrella in a downpour. They're laughing and pretending it's not raining because they're not wet. It's exhausting. Yet, we are all free to make bad choices and experience the consequences of those choices. However, in a world of coronavirus, others may experience the deadly consequences of our bad choices. What then do we do as a community of faith in response. As the late Christian humorist and writer Rachel Held Evans observes, the church is not a group of people who believe in all the same things. The church is a group of people caught up in the same story, with Jesus at the center. The real challenge then is rooted in the love we are called to live. Anyone can slay a dragon, she told me, but try waking up every morning and loving the world all over again. That takes a real hero. God calls us to try. That in the trying, we endeavor to love each other regardless. Indeed, we are reminded to do good things whether others notice or not. It's the deeds that matter, not the size of your audience. The problem is that we don't always get it right. We try to love with the best of intentions, yet at times we fall short. That's when we have to love ourselves as we pray. Lord, may I love me as you do. May I forgive me as you do. May I do as you would have me do. Yet, even as we work to follow where Jesus leads, we struggle. You're not imagining it. Nobody seems to want to talk right now. Messages are brief and replies late. Talk of catch-ups on Zoom are perpetually put on hold. Group chats are no longer pinging all night long on your phone. One of the very real consequences of the weight many of us are feeling is the unbearable despair overwhelming an increasing number of us. I'm going to share with you a video of the One Voice Children's Choir from Utah as they cover the song One More Light, originally written by the alt-rock band Linkin Park. As suicide ideation grows while we live isolated at home, it is important that when we have the energy ourselves, we reach out to others. Just as importantly, when we wonder about suicide, we also reach out for help.
Should have stayed. Were there signs I ignored? Can I help you not to hurt anymore? We saw brilliance when the world was asleep. There are things that we can have but can't keep. If they say, who cares if one more light goes out in the sky of a million stars? It flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If a moment is all we are, we're quicker, quicker. Who cares if one more light goes out? Well, I do. The reminders pull the floor from your feet. In the kitchen, one more chair than you need. Oh, and you're angry, and you should be. It's not fair.
If you have felt so overwhelmed by life that it just doesn't seem worthwhile to keep waking up each morning, call me, reach out. It's not a shameful feeling because it is far more common than you might believe. I have heard about such thoughts from people many times. At one point in my life, I too wondered about suicide, feeling like I couldn't go on any longer. I spoke to a friend and then to my siblings when I asked, "Who cares if one more light goes out?" They answered with gentle passion, "I do." Remember, you are not alone. You are not the only one feeling so overwhelmed, feeling like you're buried so far down a hole of despair that there seems to be no light anywhere. In fact, I want you to remember this reality. It's not you, it's everyone. We are spent. We have nothing left to say. We are tired of saying, "I miss you," and "I can't wait for this to end." So we mostly say nothing, put our heads down to get through each day. You're not imagining it. This is a state of being like no other we have ever known because we are all going through it together. But we're going through it so very far apart while feeling so isolated. Hang in there, friends. When the mood strikes, send out all those messages and don't feel you have to apologize for being quiet. This is hard. No one is judging. One option is this. Did you know that trees emit invisible chemicals called phytoncides? Like cortisol, these chemicals reduce stress hormones, lower blood pressure, and improve immunity. Trees use these chemicals because they have antibacterial and antifungal qualities which help fight disease. So go outside, walk through the forest, or even just near trees. When inhaled, these phytoncides cause our bodies to respond by increasing the number and activity of a type of white blood cell called natural killer cells, or NK. These NK cells kill tumor and virus infected cells in our bodies. One study showed increased NK activity from a 3-day, 2-night forest trip lasted for more than 30 days. Imagine what a daily walk along our forested trails in Kincardine might accomplish within and for us. This is a wonderfully simple self-help approach when we are feeling down. However, many of us feel inadequate should a friend or family member reach out to us and ask for a listening ear if they need someone just to be with them. I want to let you know that the seemingly small act of listening is, in and of itself, a powerful element of compassionately loving one another, even when we feel at a loss how to help. Let me tell you a story about the large effect of a small act of human kindness that made a difference to a little girl and a Broadway actor. This is a picture of Broadway singer and actor Doug Storm. He tells this story in the book Making It on Broadway, written by David Weiner and Jody Langell. Doug was performing as part of the cast of the hit musical Les Miserables in Salt Lake City in the mid-1980s. He was one of the cast members, still dressed in full costume after the show, selling posters to raise money for Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS. If someone donated $50, they would receive a poster signed by the entire cast. Doug relates in the book, after one performance, I was in costume selling posters in the lobby. I noticed a little girl who was looking at me like I was the Messiah. I heard her say, "Please, Mom, please, can I have a poster? Please, oh, please. Her mom said, "No," and they walked away. It was a moment that I will never forget. In my left ear, quite distinctly, I heard a little whisper said, "Go, Doug, go." Suddenly, without giving it any more thought, I took off in full costume outside the theater. After walking through the crowds, I saw the girl and her mother down the block. They had already crossed the street. As I was running down the street in my Les Miserables costume, I thought that I was so busted, but I didn't really care. As I approached the girl, I said, "Excuse me." She turned around and just stared. "You forgot your poster." I handed her the poster and I was gone. I turned around and ran back to the theater before anyone could say anything. I went to the company manager's office and said, "I gave one of the posters away. Here's $50, my contribution to Broadway Cares." That actor, Doug, found out later that the little girl was ill and not expected to live much longer. Her single mother had little money after paying for all the medical bills, yet her daughter always wanted to see Les Miserables. Her mom snuck her out of the hospital to see the show as a final treat, a gift from a family friend, but there was no money at all to buy the poster her daughter so wanted. Flash forward 4 years. On the second last night before the Broadway production of The Scarlet Pimpernel was to close, Doug was down in the dumps, feeling bitter and jaded, knowing he would soon be unemployed again. Then, as Doug relates, out of nowhere at the stage door, I heard a little voice, "Mr. Storm." I thought, "Oh God, who's calling me Mr. Storm? For crying out loud." I looked down. I froze. It was the same little girl. "Hi, I knew you were in the show because I've been following it on the internet. I brought you a little package. Here's a card." "Oh my gosh, how are you doing? Do you want to come in? Are you seeing the show tonight?" "No," she said. "I'm not seeing the show tonight. I'm seeing it tomorrow. I'm seeing the last one." I said, "Why don't you come around here tomorrow before the show? I'll take you backstage." I went upstairs and started putting on my makeup. I stopped for a second to read her card. "I just want to let you know that I've just been accepted to NYU Tisch School of Arts for Drama, and I'm going to enroll because someday I want to give a kid a poster. Thank you for helping shape my life." You see, even a seemingly insignificant action can make a difference in people's lives, lifting their hearts, pulling them back from the precipice. Jesus calls us to be that difference by loving both ourselves and by loving others. It also means accepting the loving from others when we need it, in actions both large and small. I pray that when you need it most, others love you into hope, just as you love others into hope-filled life. This is a prayer written by Reverend M. Barclay. M., whose pronouns are they, them, is co-founder and director of Enfleshed, a nonprofit faith organization devoted to creating and to facilitating resources of spiritual nourishment for collective liberation. Here is their prayer that strikes at the core of our emotional turmoil while so isolated, so overwhelmed, yet yearning for hope. Gentle presence, patient listener, holy holder of all, my prayer is this: I am so sad. It's not an ask, it's not a confession, it's an offering. The only one I have today. I'm praying it with hope. I know grief is a lifeline tethering me to the world that should be the world worth fighting for. As a practice of faith, I will not deaden those feelings that let me know all is not well. I will not adjust to cruelty or disregard for life, detaching myself from humanity, mine or others. I will not allow losses that no longer pierce my soul to weigh me down. And so here are my tears. Here is my tired body. Here is my foggy and distracted mind, bearing witness to the place within me that aches for others and the ones I love, for friends and strangers, for everyone being pushed into impossible situations. My sadness is testimony, and it is not the only one. Tomorrow, hope or fight or curiosity will bear their truth, pulling me back into the labors I love in the company of others. But today, the only protest in me is this sorrow, refusing to quiet your cry from within, your cry, O God, which affirms that we are made for so much more than this. Live into my sadness, God, resurrecting me into the change I seek, the better I can be and help to create. Amen. I'd like to say thank you to Terry Boyd before we go, because every week when Judy sends him the video, he renders it to our YouTube channel online, where you have accessed this fireside chat. So thank you, Terry, so much for making this happen every week. As a blessing before we finish this fireside chat, here is my wish for you for the rest of the week. Comfort on difficult days, smiles when sadness intrudes, rainbows to follow the clouds, laughter to kiss your lips, sunsets to warm your heart, hugs when spirits sag, beauty for your eyes to see, friendships to brighten your being, faith so that you can believe, confidence for when you have doubt, courage to know yourself, patience to accept the truth, love to complete your life. Now, I know that the hug wish for most of you will likely have to be over the distance until it is safe. Nevertheless, distance or not, human connection is balm for our souls. May it be something you experience this week. Until next week, goodbye.